Now the latest ITV news from Granada Reports with Tony Morris and Lucy Meacock.
Hello there, welcome to Granada Reports, live with the news here in the Northwest.
Hello, coming up on the programme this evening.
If you're going to be told that you could lose all your benefit, your life's over.
Is our benefits system in crisis? A special report amid claims it's failing the very people it's designed to help. First tonight, the benefits system is failing the people it's designed to support. That is the view of some charities here in the Northwest who say they are overwhelmed by requests for help from people applying for what are now called personal independence payments. They were aimed at helping people live as independently as possible.
But a nurse has contacted this programme after our report last night to say, in her experience, the system is designed to get as many people off benefits as possible. She trained for a private company which carries out the government's work capability assessments and said she was told to try to catch claimants out.
Tonight, our second report in our series looking at the impact of the benefits changes. Elaine Wilcox has been talking to someone who was wrongly assessed and to organisations who say the system is in crisis.
Nigel Dombervand and his sister are registered blind. He has limited mobility, but a medical assessor concluded he had no issues getting around outside and could walk up to 50 metres, although he was in a wheelchair throughout the assessment.
Were you asked to stand up and walk or move around during the assessment?
I'm in a wheelchair now, and when she done the medical, I went in the wheelchair and I never got asked to get out of the wheelchair to walk. If you're going to be told that you could lose all your benefit, your life's over.
He was supported by the Bradbury Field Centre in Liverpool, who say they're constantly dealing with people in crisis. It's simple failings such as claimants with sight issues having their benefits cut because they've been sent letters they've said they can't read.
They're getting appointment letters and maybe not being able to read them until, it's too late. And, you've got it going back to the DWP and the benefits terminated.
Mr Dombervand's benefit cut was overturned with help from staff here, but they fear many claimants are still not being properly assessed.
There must be tons out there, based upon what we've dealt with, that you realise probably have got the wrong decision, probably have not got the confidence or strength themselves to challenge it. And that may simply be that they've got a sight problem and additional health conditions, they're not well, and being put through some of these assessment processes and judgments that really just changed their life beyond belief.
I went into nursing because I care for people, but as far as I can see from the training I did, the whole culture is to try and trick the patients and trying to get out of paying them benefits.
A nurse with over 20 years' experience started training with Maximus to carry out work capability assessments, but she said she was horrified. We've changed her voice and agreed not to identify her.
We were also told if someone was paraplegic, if they had the use of one arm, that basically they were fit to go to a job club. By getting them to a job club, they're cutting their benefits.
And that's taken away their support.
Exactly. They're trying to catch them from the minute they walk through the doors.
And you didn't feel, even though you were a nurse doing this training, that you could say, this is wrong?
No. Basically, you are terrified of saying anything. It may affect your nursing registration.
After an assessment, Susan Dipnell's been told she no longer qualifies for Motability support despite having just one leg. She uses a prosthetic limb, even though it's painful, and a wheelchair. She drove a Motability car and could shop for herself, but in November an assessor concluded she could regularly and repeatedly walk 200 metres and her car's been returned.
Can you walk more than 200 metres?
I tried getting from the bus stop down here a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't make it. He had to run down and get my chair for me.
Your son did?
Yeah.
Susan asked for a mandatory reconsideration, which again concluded she wasn't entitled to mobility benefit.
It's like being a prisoner in here now. It is depressing. Because it took my independence off me. I've got to rely on other people now to help.
One of her passions is karate. She became an instructor to support her son before she lost her leg, and now they can't get to the classes.
She had a bypass, she's had cancer, and she's had her leg off, and never once did she complain, and she's always had a smile on her face. Since they've done this, she's getting depressed. She is getting seriously depressed, and it's ruined her life.
So what would you say to the Secretary of State in terms of the new benefits, about what the changes have meant for you?
You want to live in the real world and see what it's like for us.
Like thousands of claimants, Susan is going to court to appeal the benefit cut, which could take 6 months, and for now her life is on hold. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Blakely.
Well, we have made repeated attempts for the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions to respond to the issues that we've been raising, and we have contacted every Conservative MP in our region, but no one would be interviewed.
Now, a spokesperson for the DWP said assessments are carried out by qualified health professionals who combine their clinical knowledge with an understanding of the fact that not everyone with the same disability is impacted in the same way. Under PIP, 26% of claimants are now receiving the highest rate of support compared to 15% under its replacement, the Disability Living Allowance.
Now, Maximus, the US company which carries out work capability assessments for the DWP, say all our healthcare professionals go through a rigorous training programme to ensure they deliver to the highest standard. We take these types of allegations very seriously. We're unable to comment further on an anonymous case. We can confirm that customer satisfaction ratings are currently at 93%. Well, Philip Connolly is Policy Manager at Disability Rights UK. He's in our London studio for us tonight. Thanks for joining us. Now, we've been hearing this claim that many claimants are not being properly assessed. What do you think is the scale of this problem?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, because very few complaints are actually getting through to the Institute of Case Examination. And that's because a lot of complaints are being dismissed as being about the process and therefore not being permitted. Also, this idea of a reconsideration, it really creates another queue whereby people are assessed again against the medical evidence and the medical report. And it's only really when people appeal that decision and get to an appeal that they get a copy of the report and can see what's been said about them. And it's only at that point that people start to understand that often these reports are wrong.
I hear what you're saying, Mr. Connolly. Do you accept, though, that there are some people who are claiming benefits that they're not entitled to, and that should be stopped?
I think that's extremely unlikely anyway. When this personal independence payment was set up and people were moved from the Disability Living Allowance to personal independence payment, they said that 600,000 fewer people would receive the benefit even before they designed the test. So it seems highly unlikely to me that anybody would be receiving this benefit who's not entitled to it.
OK, Mr Connolly, a nurse has told us on our report there the policy was to get as many people off benefit and to catch people out if they say they struggle to walk or to move around. Is that what people have been telling you?
Well, people do complain to us about that PIP assessment, particularly what's called the 20-metre rule, whereby if you can walk 20 metres, you're not entitled to the benefit. I would respond to that and say, well, can somebody tell me where people can reach a place of employment or a place of help within 20 metres of where they live or at the end of a public transport journey?
OK, now the DWP's intention, though, is to get the benefits bill down. That's something I'm sure everybody wants. There isn't a bottomless pit of money. Do you accept that does need to happen?
No, I think people should receive the entitlement that helps them to live independently. If they cease to live independently and require institutional care, that's going to cost the state a lot more money.
The DWP, though, says that more claimants are now receiving the highest rate of support compared to 15% under its replacement, the Disability Living Allowance.
Well, that's because not only are there new claimants, but the existing claimants are being reassessed. And so the numbers of assessments are quite high at the moment. But once everybody has been reassessed or assessed, the numbers will fall. And like I said, when George Osborne announced the new benefit, he actually announced a target for reducing the number of people entitled to it.
I mean, there must be some form of assessment though, so what would you like to see?
Well, we'd like to see people be able to have access at the outset to, so if they're under a consultant, they can get a consultant's report, they can get the specialist medical evidence about their condition, which permits a healthcare professional to make a fairer assessment.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Connolly, thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you for talking to us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much to Mr. Connolly there, and obviously the invitation to the DWP stands all week because we're looking at this all week. Tomorrow we'll be talking to those who are forced to go to court after their benefits have been cut, and we'll be getting reaction to plans by the government to stop people from giving evidence to support their case.